In this video, I'm going to share information on whether it makes sense to rent or to buy in today's Toronto real estate market. Before proceeding, I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Amrit. I help buy and sell real estate in the city of Toronto. If you have any questions about real estate, then please feel free to book a call with me as per your convenient time by clicking on the Calendly link mentioned in the description below. So in the first segment of this video, I'm going to run the numbers in detail to understand what numbers are actually suggesting and does it even make sense to rent or to buy. And in the second segment of this video, I'm going to do a quick pro and con analysis of buying versus renting. So without wasting any time, let's get right into it. First, understand how much rent you will be paying if someone chooses to rent on long-term basis. So let's run an example. So for a one-bedroom condo in downtown Toronto, it's going to hover about 2,600 at an average in today's time. And the landlords can increase the rent year over year by 2.5% if you are in a rent control building. But if you're not in a rent control building, landlords can increase the rent by whatever amount. So I know that's the unfortunate reality, but in this example, I'm taking that year over year increase can be 2.5%. So by the 10th year, your rent will be 32.47. If you keep going down, your rent in the 20th year will be 41.56. I know it's pretty unreal. And by the 30th year, it's wild to see and think that your rent is going to be about 5,300 a month. So in the long run, that is in 30 years, your rent is going to be about 5,300, provided you are in a rent control building. Now let's do the comparison and run the numbers with the buying option and see what the numbers are suggesting. So here's the Google sheet I've prepared to do the number comparison between renting and buying. I know this data might look boring and maybe overwhelming, but trust me, by the end of this video, these numbers might surprise you. Therefore, please hang in there. So on the screen, you can see on the left side are the numbers for the rent. This is basically the same information which we discussed in the previous sheet. And on the right side is the buying option. So on the right side, you can see we are taking an example of one bedroom condo, which is going to cost you $550,000 in downtown Toronto. Yes, as of today, you can find a one bedroom condo worth $550K, so which is not bad. So the closing cost is going to be $10,000 give and take. So this is something you cannot put this on your mortgage. You need this as a cash prior to closing. So your total cost of property is going to be $560,000. So I've taken 20% as a down payment. I know it's pretty high, but a lot of buyers who are entering the market in today's scenario, we're noticing that they're putting significant amount of down payment. Reason being, they want to have minimum exposure to the debt. And secondly, they want to keep their monthly carrying cost as low as possible in today's high interest rate environment. So the rate of interest I'm taking is 6%, although there's a word out there in the market that 6 to 8 months from now, they're going to slowly start decreasing the rate of interest, so which will be nice. But in my opinion, as of today, 6% is still high, but I'm still taking that as an example. Say amortization period is I'm taking is this 30 years. So if you put down a down payment of 20% or more, you can stretch out your amortization period to 30 years. The maintenance fee and property taxes, I'm clubbing these together. So maintenance fee hovers about $400. In a decent building, for a one bedroom condo, it hovers about $300 to $500. So I'm taking as $400 in this case, and the monthly property taxes are $200. The year over year maintenance fee increase, I'm taking it as 5%. In a decent building in Toronto, it hovers about 4 to 6% increase year over year. So I've taken the middle point, that is 5%, and the year over year appreciation of the properties, I've taken it as 5%. So over the last 40 years, the average appreciation of properties in the Greater Toronto area has been about 6 to 7%. So in this case, I'm taking it as a 5%, which I think is pretty conservative number. Now let's understand how much monthly carrying cost we're looking at if we buy a condo worth $550,000 and if you put down 20% as a down payment. So your monthly mortgage is going to be $2,638, out of which $2,200 is going towards the interest side of things. I know that's slightly high. And the $438 is going towards the principal side of things. And your monthly maintenance fee and property taxes are going to be $600. So the total carrying cost on monthly basis is going to be 30 to 30 high. In my opinion, I think that's pretty high, especially if you compare it with the amount of rent you will be paying, that is $2,600. So let's check out what happens in the year 2. And by the way, the P column is for the years. So in the year 2, you'll be paying 30 to 68. Still pretty high because in the year 2, you'll be paying 26.65 rent, so not too much of a difference. It's an increase by $65. But now let's check out what happens in the year 5. So in the year 5, you'll be paying $33.67 as your total carrying cost, inclusive of everything, and your rent will be $28.70. And in year 5, if you check out, your monthly mortgage is $26.38, out of which $20.50 is going towards interest side of things. Now, which is less than your monthly rent. Your rent is $28.70, and the interest you're paying on the buying side of things is $20.50. So that's something we need to consider. And you'll be paying $588 as your monthly principal amount. This amount is going towards the principal, and 729 is going to be your monthly maintenance fee and property taxes. So in total, you'll be paying 3367. So now in 5 years, let's check out how much the property has appreciated and how much of equity we are sitting on. So the column N is the equity, and the column O is going to be the property value after appreciation. So after 5 years, you'll be sitting on $140,000 of equity. This is inclusive of 20% down payment you had put down initially. So we're sitting at $140,000 as on the equity, and the property value after appreciation would be, we're looking at $710,000. So it's not too bad. Now if you go down and see what happens after 10 years, here we are. Your monthly total carrying cost is going to be $3569, and let's see what happens to the rent after 10 years if the year-over-year rent increases just by 2.5%. So the monthly rent is going to be $3247. So if you notice, the gap is decreasing between buying monthly carrying cost and the monthly rent. And now let's break down the monthly carrying cost on the buying side of things. So we're paying total carrying cost is $3569. So the monthly mortgage is going to be $2638, out of which $1845 is going towards the interest, and the $793 is going towards the principal. So if you see, the $1845, that's the interest side of things, it's less than what your monthly rent is going to be. That is $3200. Let me just show you once again. Yeah, that is $3247. And even if we club the monthly interest payment and the monthly maintenance fee, which is $931, so your total sum comes down to $2700, which is still less than $3247, which we just saw on the left side. And now let's check out what appreciation we're sitting on. So the property value as of today, as of after 10 years, is going to be just shy of $900,000, and the amount of equity you're sitting on is $181,000. So now let's see what happens after 20 years. That'll be pretty interesting. So if we go down here on year 20, and here we go. So your monthly total carrying cost is going to be $4154. And now let's check out what happens to the rent after 20 years. It is unreal to think that we'll be paying about $4,000 for a 1-bedroom condo in downtown Toronto after 20 years, give and take. I think it'll be slightly more than this, but even this number is pretty ridiculous. And your monthly rent is going to be $4156. And now let's bifurcate the monthly carrying cost on buying side of things. So total cost is $4154, and you'll be paying $1,195 as your interest, and $1,443 is going towards the your principal amount. So now the more chunk of payment is going towards your principal as opposed to interest now, because it's been so long. You're on 20-year timeline. So your monthly maintenance fee is going to be $1,560, which is still pretty high. So if we club this together and see how much is the total cost we're looking at, which is going towards interest plus your monthly maintenance and property taxes. So that amount comes out to be, let's add 1995 plus 1560. We are looking at 2,700, and which is significantly less than your monthly rent, which we're looking at is 4156. So now let's see what happens in the year 30th. Let's keep going down. So by the year 30th, the total monthly carrying cost is going to be $5108, and let's check out the rent we'll be paying in the year 30th. We will be paying $5,300 for a 1-bedroom condo by the year 30th. And if we bifurcate the monthly carrying cost, the total monthly carrying cost, which is of $5108. So your monthly mortgage is going to be $2638. By now you must be wondering that why have taken the same monthly mortgage cost. So over the long period of time, even if you're on a variable rate, the mortgage averages out, because in some years it's going to be, the rate of interest is going to be high, and in some years the rate of interest is going to be low. So the monthly mortgage we're looking at is $2638. The interest payment we're looking at is $13, and the balance, which is $2625, is going towards your principal amount. And your monthly maintenance fee plus property taxes we're looking at is $2470, and the property value after appreciation of 30 years we're looking at is $2.3 million for a 1-bedroom condo in downtown Toronto. You must be thinking that I've lost my mind, but I'll show you a chart which will show you the 30-year average and which will help you to justify this number. And now here's the chart of average prices of all home types in Greater Toronto area since 1975. And now we are going to do 30-year comparison between 1990 and the year 2020. And if we go up here and check out the average prices, in 1990 the average prices we're looking at is $255,000, and if you look at it in 2020, the average prices looking at is $929,000. That is a 300% increase. And if we do the adjustment on the price point of $550,000, we do land on this number, that is 2.3 million. I also agree that condos don't appreciate as fast as freehold properties, but given the level of inflation we are looking at, chances are high that we will touch close to this price point. I understand that Google Sheet was pretty overwhelming. My apologies. Now let's quickly summarize what we just learned. So in the fifth year, your rent will be 2870, and your monthly carrying cost, if you are buying, by then would be 3367, and you'll be sitting on an equity of $140,000. Quick note: this equity is inclusive of the initial down payment of 20% which you had put down, and your value of the property in 5 years is going to be around $700,000. I'm going to skip the 10th year. Let's quickly jump on 20th year. By 20th year, your rent will be 4156, and your monthly carrying cost will be 4154, more or less the same. Basically, this is the year where you will break even, and you'll be sitting on an equity of $312,000 inclusive of 20% which you had put initially, and the property value we are looking at is 1.4 million. Pretty good. And beyond 30 years, your monthly rent is going to be 5,300, give and take. And over the same period of time, if you had bought, your monthly carrying cost is going to be 2,470. It's going to be maintenance and property taxes. At this point, you will be mortgage free, and on top of this, you'll be sitting on a property value which is 2.3 million, which is, I think, pretty solid retirement fund in my opinion. So now I'm going to do a quick pro and con analysis of buying versus renting. So let's get right into it. So here we go. So buying does provide some sense of stability. On the flip side, renting does provide some sense of flexibility. You can move whenever you want to. As a homeowner, you're responsible for all your repairs and maintenances. On the other side, the landlord takes care of all the repairs if you're renting. So buying helps in building equity and some appreciation. On the flip side, if you're renting, 100% of the rent goes to the owner. By the way, I'm not trying to throw a narrative that renting is not the best thing to do, or renting is like wasting money. In fact, in the short term, renting makes more sense, and it's even cheaper if you're not putting a significant amount of down payment when buying. So in my opinion, renting makes sense in the short term, and the buying makes sense in the long term. So next is miscellaneous expenses. So if you're a homeowner, it comes with some expenses, that is property taxes, closing costs, utilities, which you have to take care of. On the flip side, if you're a renter, all you have to take care is of your rent, and you have to take care of the utilities. All right, that's pretty much for today. I hope I did not bore you with so many numbers today, and I hope I was able to give you some value. And if I did, then please like, share, and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Thanks.